Good afternoon. We're Group 9, and today we're talking about telling stories about dynamic networks with graphic comics. In this paper, the author explored graphic comics as a medium to communicate changes in dynamic networks. Networks are usually used in sociology, biology, economics, and many other domains to model phenomena and obtain insights. In this paper, the author explored a communication strategy inspired by comics, a popular communication medium. Comics combine visual and text into an expressive and flexible language to convey sequence of events. This capability are promising for communicating temporal changes in complex structures such as networks. Advantages of comics including being usable in print and digital format, supporting both textual and oral descriptions, as well as standing by themselves by tightly integrating narration with visuals. Their work takes a first look at how graphic comics, such as Figure 1, can convey changes occurring in dynamic networks. They decide to use no-link diagram because no-link diagrams are much more familiar to a wide audience and require almost no training. And the story in Figure 1 is about a startup company with three friends, Sam, Charles, and Francis, and how this company to build relationships and collaboration with others. Some related work in this paper are visually exploring dynamic networks, storytelling with visualization, and storytelling with sequential arts, which is personally I think is related most. Using a sequence of images to communicate changes has been practiced for centuries. This image sequence can be found in a variety of textbooks to illustrate biological and physical process, or in user manual to convey instructions. Two example authors choose is A is a sequential representation to encode network changes exist in network size, and B is a historical analysis of Italian-Turkish War. Read in linear order, sequence of images imply two aspects: progress in depicted times and the progress in narrative times. The graphic example they choose to use arose from a discussion with a high school teacher who commented that the configuration of European alliances preceding World War I were consistent and difficult to communicate with students. Their example breaks down the complexity into logic chunks and provide explanation for each chunk. Text presents information about events that lead to an alliance or conflicts, while visuals convey the graphic topology and changes. Use the node-link diagram layout over a geographic map. The link width encodes the strengths of relations, thick representing alliance and thin representing support. And the link color in the graphic comics representing their natures. Black representing support, and red dashes representing conflicts. Since the event and changes do not happen at regular pace, showing one panel every year does not highlight the key changes. Instead, panels in graphic comics represent a period of time depending on the amount of importance event and changes. The initial feedback from the high school teacher suggests that graphic comics can be facilitating communication of temporal changes in networks. Currently, textbook illustrations, such as the figure shown before of Italian-Turkish War, are often used as a reference and summary after attending a lecture or reading a text depicting network changes. And also, after looking at these comics, the high school teacher pointed the author to more example stories in the history curriculum, such as economic dependence, collaboration and correlation between political parties, lineage of royal families, structure of organizations, and influence networks of historical figures or chain of application.